here on CVN Television. So we've been telling you that there's something new coming this year, something unprecedented, and there's no better person to give us an overview of what this new format will be in schoolboy football this season than the president of the Intersecondary Schools Sports Association, ISSA, Mr. Keith Wellington, who now joins us. Thank you so much, as usual, for joining us at this momentous occasion, Mr. Wellington.
Well, thanks for having me, Jordan and Kimani.
Yep. All right, so, let's get right into it, right? Because sometimes it's best to score your goals from the first minute in Sir Wellington. So I want to get right into it. A lot of people have been asking, what's this new thing I've been hearing about in schoolboy football coming this year? Because, of course, not everything or a lot of things can't be kept a secret in Jamaica. So the word has gotten out, right? But if you can just kick us off with that, Mr. Wellington, what are we to expect of this new schoolboy football format?
Well, Jordan, as we completed our season late this year, we actually went into January. In doing our review, there are a number of changes that we considered and have decided to implement this year. The most significant of which is that we have decided to group our competitions, both Manning and D'Costa Cup, into basically two tiers, with the top teams from both the Manning and D'Costa Cup delaying around. So what we have done is to guarantee more games amongst the traditionally better teams, starting, of course, with the team that did exceptionally well last year, joined by those teams who turn up this year with good teams and are able to qualify from the preliminary round. So that's one significant change. As a result of that change, we are also now able to have all our teams basically playing the Ben Francis and Walker Cup. So we're going to have a more lengthy knockout season, starting from mid-September with the knockout, and the Ben Francis and D'Costa Cup being finished by mid-October. So by mid-October, we are going to have two sets of students and past students and supporters being able to boast that they are champions, because the Ben Francis and the Walker Cup will be completed by mid-October.
That's very interesting. Yeah. What spurred the change?
I think the need for us to ensure that there's more interest at the start of the competition. What we would have had over the last few years was, people kind of ignoring what's happening in September and October and waiting until the big teams show up in November and December. So we basically had maybe 4 to 6 weeks of real intense football. What we are expecting now is that there's going to be intense football starting with the knockout competitions in late September. So we are expecting a lot. One of the things that we are also going to be doing to drive the support for schoolboy football this year is to get these teams involved in a one-day rally on September 12th. So although the seeded teams won't start in the D'Costa Cup until the 19th and in the Manning Cup until the 26th with the Walker Cup, we are going to have them all engaged across the country on the 12th of September.
Okay, I can see Kimani itching to get involved.
Yeah, of course.
We know Wilmaz and Casey will be in the top, right?
Yeah, but I'm not too sure you'd want that to be the case, Jordan, am I right? But, I just want to ask you, Mr. Wellington, of course, where there's change, the teams who are so central to making it happen and supporting that change is integral.
Right.
What has the discussions been like with the schools in terms of accepting and receiving this change?
For the most part, it has been really positive from both the schools involved, the sponsors, and those other stakeholders who helped to put schoolboy football together. We don't think it's a perfect situation, but we think it is something that we can work with to develop schoolboy football as a product that will be a lot more attractive to our patrons, to our corporate support, and just everyone involved. And I think the big thing with this is that we're going to ensure that the better schools in terms of performances over time get to play more games against each other.
Yeah, I can already hear the pushback though, Sir Wellington, from the schools who want to get better, saying that, eliminating us essentially before having the opportunity to play the better schools, so to speak, doesn't give them that opportunity. to better their skills against the best.
On the contrary, that has not been the feedback that we're getting. I think they now feel as if that what we are doing is providing them with an opportunity to be more competitive, and in being more competitive, they also get the opportunity to move on to the next stage where they can, if they pass that level successfully. So it's more like what CX is doing with maths. I remember we were at schools. Yeah. So if they do well at this initial stage, then they are able to move to the next level with some confidence.
Yeah, and I know your school, and I see your coach Omar Wedderburn in the audience as well, would be looking forward to this, the fact that you can now win the Knockout Ben Francis and the Manning Cup and the Knockout Champions Cup as well. You can become 3-time or in some cases 4-time champions because of course you have the Olivier Shield as well. So I'm pretty sure the big schools are licking their lips.
They are very happy. They are very happy. Many of them would have coined a phrase for the Ben Francis and Walker Cup before. Now they have this mind.
I don't know what that phrase
is. So longer seasons for the knockouts. It doesn't necessarily though guarantee more football for the seeded schools, but it will be more football for the schools that are not seeded.
Definitely,
if they advance.
If they advance, they have the opportunity to play more football. The seeded schools get the opportunity to play more football against teams that are better prepared. Let us put it that way.
Yeah. Right. So more high quality football.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not about depth in terms of quantity, it's about quality,
it's about quality.
And that's what they'll be getting with. And we know that the top 15 ranked teams, if my math is correct, in both the Acosta Cup and the Manning Cup, will not be playing in what is now the first round of the competition.
Right.
I don't know if it's an overreach for me to say that the thing has now been split into 2 tiers. I don't know if that's how Issa is coining it, but I want you to take me through exactly the details of this new format.
Well, what it is, I'm not sure if it's 2 tiers, but one of the things that I know people had asked for and suggesting, and I think what we have sought to do, is to maybe sort of bridge those kind of expectations that people have without really having it as a 2-tiered thing. I mean, obviously the teams that have done well in previous years, those 15 in both competitions, are teams that really deserve to really go through to a section of the competition that allows for competitiveness to be that which we encourage. And so those 15 teams will pretty much be waiting on the teams in the other competitions. So for Manning Cup, as we say, 15, and the other teams that are coming through are going to be in, I think, 4 zones or 3 zones pretty much, and coming through for the Acosta Cup, I think it's going to be 9 zones. But by the time they get to the second round, it's going to be something that's familiar to people, and the quarterfinals. So it's I think for the Manning Cup is a top 3. And for the Acosta Cup, I think is the best 3 is the top 3 plus the best 3 third place will be going through from each group. But by the time we get to the quarterfinals, it's going to be 4 groups of 4 in each of them. Semifinals is 2 groups of 4. That's a familiar format that many people know. So it's when it gets to that pretty much we have what many people know. Pretty much what we're expecting is that this will add a level of competitiveness. And as you have heard regarding Ben Francis and Walker Cup, it is 32, I think it's 64 and 32 teams respectively for the Acosta Cup and Ben Francis meeting from very, very early. And it's pretty much like you have it in many of the other competitions all over the world where it doesn't matter who meets, it's going to be an interesting thing. Some people are worried that it could be that, so-called big teams are out, but if you're big, I think you do what you need to do to go through. And if you do what you do need to go through as a so-called small team, then you have done big things and deserve to go through, and that's what we want.
Yeah, and I mean, if our audience in studio and our viewers can also turn their attentions to our curved screen, here are the pathways for corporate area schools and, of course, for rural area schools. And we have the first round, the preliminary round, in the corporate area, September 5 to October 2. In the second round, October 7 to 28. You talked about 6 groups there. And then, of course, they head to the round of 16 and then on to the semi-final and final. And it's a similar thing with slightly different dates in the rural areas. The question I have for you that I didn't ask Mr. Wellington was about the fear, or if there is any fear, on the part of ISA and other stakeholders within the schoolboy football fraternity that by removing the top schools from essentially the first round of the competition, that you'll be watering down what is now the first round?
No, well, one of the things that we had were games in which people won by enormous margins.
Right.
And I think that that's not something that many people find interesting, except for purposes of ego and boast. Maybe you can speak about you're having scored kind of a netball score in a football game.
Right.
What we have sought to do again is to ensure that as you advance, the competitiveness of the competition is something which is a part of the interesting aspect, the intriguing aspects of the competition. We ensure that by that second round, it is something that we have, and you know those teams that did not qualify as seeded teams, they will go through as teams that are now deserving and will meet those teams that claim to be the traditionally strong teams or even the team that was strong from the previous years. And I think that spectators want that kind of thing. We want competitiveness in a competition such as this,
right.
And it's what we have sought to do.
And in terms of so we said that some champions would have already been determined from October.
Right.
We'll have 2 more months, essentially, of schoolboy football left after that. We haven't yet spoken about if there are any, impacts on the Champions Cup and any other competition going forward.
Right. Well, a huge part of what we have to do is that, and I think we have been doing that, over the years, experimenting to an extent to ensure that we tweak to get things okay. To get things better, you have to take some risks. And it's something that we have looked at, we have decided to do. And we're not afraid if it is that this needs some tweaking down the road, we do that because we get our stakeholders being a part of the discussions, sponsors, players, coaches, principals, everybody is a part of the discussion. Media, a huge part of the discussion, and we ensure that their views are held. This year, what we have will hold, and we see how it works. We expect it to work well, mostly, and if any tweaking is needed, we do that.
Well, Mr. Wright, I'll say you did well in the hot seat. You did well in the spotlight. Thank you so much, as usual, for being forthright in your responses. Right. And of course, we look forward to the exciting new format of ISA Schoolboy Football 2026. We're going to take another